The cargo freighter Liberty's Edge drifted through the black void between star systems. Captain Jake Mitchell sat in the pilot's seat, watching the endless field of stars through the main viewport. The ship's engines hummed quietly as they carried their cargo back from the outer mining colonies. "Coffee's getting cold again," Lisa Parker said from the engineering station. She was a tall woman with short brown hair and oil stains on her work clothes. Her fingers moved across the control panel, checking the engine readings for the third time in an hour. Sam Torres looked up from his navigation console. "We're still 12 hours out from the next waypoint. Nothing but empty space until then." He was a thin man with dark hair and careful eyes that never seemed to miss anything. Amy Stone sat at the medical station, reading something on her tablet. She looked like any other ship's medic, but her posture was too straight and her movements too precise. "Quiet run this time," she said without looking up. Jake nodded and took another sip of his coffee. It was cold, just like Lisa had said. That's how I like them. Quiet means no trouble. The Liberty's Edge was not much to look at from the outside. She was an old cargo hauler with patches on her hull and faded paint. Her cargo holds were full of mining equipment and supplies they had delivered to the colonies. Now they were heading back to Earth space with a hold full of rare metals and crystals. Jake had been running cargo for 5 years now. It was honest work that paid well enough, and it kept him busy. The outer rim was always in need of supplies, and someone had to haul them out there. The work was dangerous sometimes, but Jake and his crew knew how to handle themselves. "Contact on sensors," Sam called out suddenly. His voice was calm, but Jake heard the change in tone. "Actually, make that multiple contacts. 6 ships. Coming. In fast from our starboard side." Jake set down his coffee cup and leaned forward. "How fast?" "Fast enough to catch us if they want to," Sam replied. His fingers worked across his console, pulling up more information. "They're not broadcasting any identification signals." Lisa's hands moved to different controls. "Engine power is at normal cruise. I can give you more if you need it." "Not yet," Jake said. He watched the sensor display as 6 red dots moved toward their position. "Amy, get the medical bay ready, just in case." Amy nodded and started putting away her tablet. Already on it. The 6 ships came closer. They were sleek and fast, built for speed and combat. Jake could see them now through the viewport, their hulls gleaming silver in the starlight. They moved in a perfect formation, surrounding the Liberty's Edge like hunters circling their prey.
"Out there."
"Zephyrian ships," Sam said, reading the sensor data. "Raiders by the look of them." Jake's jaw tightened. He had heard stories about the Zephyrians. They were tall, thin aliens with gray skin and large black eyes. They made their living by attacking lone ships and stealing cargo. They were known for taking prisoners too, selling them as slaves in the outer systems. "Incoming transmission," Lisa announced. "Put it through," Jake said. The main screen flickered and showed the face of a Zephyrian. His skin was pale gray, and his black eyes were cold. He wore what looked like military uniform with strange symbols on the collar. "Human vessel," the alien said. His voice was harsh and full of contempt. "I am War Commander Vextel of the Zephyrian raiding fleet.
"Oh."
You are surrounded and outgunned. Surrender your cargo immediately." Jake looked at the alien's face on the screen. "It's quite an offer, Commander. What do we get in return?" "You get to live," Vextel replied. "Abandon your ship. Bring only what you can carry. You will be taken to the nearest inhabited system and released. And our cargo belongs to us now. It's not a negotiation, human. This is a demand." Jake could see the other Zephyrian ships moving into position around them. Each ship was armed with energy weapons and missile launchers. The Liberty's Edge looked helpless, surrounded by the 6 raiding vessels. "I need a moment to discuss this with my crew," Jake said calmly. Vextal's black eyes narrowed. "You have 2 minutes? Then we will take what we want and leave you floating." In space, the transmission ended. Jake looked at his crew. Lisa had moved away from her engineering station. Sam was no longer sitting at navigation. Amy had closed her medical kit and was standing near the back of the bridge. Jake said, "Quietly looks like we have some uninvited guests." 6 ships, Sam said. "Military formation. They know what they're doing." "Zephyrians always do," Lisa added. They've been raiding human ships for months now. Taking cargo, taking people. Amy checked something on her wrist display. They think we're just another easy target. Jake smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. They think wrong. He pressed a button on his chair. It looked like a normal communication control, but it sent a very different kind of signal through the ship. Lights began flashing in the corridors. Its blast doors sealed automatically. The Liberty's edge began to change. Lisa, how long until our friends get impatient? Jake asked. Maybe 90 seconds, she replied, moving to a different console. Sam, what's their formation looking like? Standard raiding pattern. 2 ships above, 2 below, 1 on each flank. Textbook Zephyrian tactics. Amy, are you ready? Always ready, she said, and her voice had changed. It was harder now, more focused. Jake stood up from his chair. Outside, the Zephyrian ships waited for his answer. War Commander Vextel probably thought the humans were discussing which personal items to pack before surrendering. He was about to learn how wrong he was. The Liberty's Edge might look like a simple cargo hauler, but appearances could be very deceiving. Jake and his crew had learned that lesson well during their years of service. Now it was time to teach that same lesson to someone else. Time's up, Jake said softly. Let's show them what happens when you pick the wrong ship to rob. The red warning lights bathed the bridge of the Liberty's Edge in crimson. Jake Mitchell stood behind his captain's chair, watching the Zephyrian ships hold their positions around his vessel. War Commander Vextel would be expecting an answer soon. Lisa, bring us to combat readiness, Jake said quietly. Lisa Parker's hands flew across her console. The ship's hull began to vibrate as hidden systems came online, reactor output increasing to military levels. All defensive systems are responding. Sam, start jamming their communications. Jake ordered. Sam Torres activated a series of controls. That did not belong on any normal cargo ship. Electronic warfare suite is active. They can't talk to each other anymore. Amy Stone moved to what looked like a medical monitoring station. But when she activated it, weapon targeting displays appeared. On her screens, all weapon systems are green and ready. But the Liberty's Edge was not what she appeared to be. From the outside, she looked like any other old cargo hauler. But Jake and his crew had spent years modifying her. The cargo holds contained more than just mining equipment. The hull plating could retract to reveal weapon mounts. The engines were military-grade, hidden beneath false readings. 2 minutes are up, Sam announced. The main screen flickered back to life. War Commander Vextel appeared. Again, his gray face twisted with anger. Human vessel, you have not responded to our demands. Prepare to be boarded. Jake stepped forward. Actually, Commander, I do have a response for you. Then speak quickly. Patience is gone, Jake smiled. My response is this. You picked the wrong ship. He nodded to Lisa. She pressed a series of buttons on her console. The Liberty's Edge began to transform. Sections of the ship's hull slid away with mechanical precision. Hidden weapon mounts emerged from concealed compartments. Missile launchers rose from what had looked like cargo containers. Point defense turrets unfolded from the ship's sides like deadly flowers blooming. The cargo bay doors opened, revealing not mining supplies but military hardware. Rows of missiles sat ready to launch. Energy weapons powered up with high-pitched whines. The Liberty's Edge went from harmless freighter to armed warship in less than 30 seconds. War Commander Vextel's black eyes went wide. What is this? Is what you get when you threaten the wrong humans, Jake replied. My name is Captain Jake Mitchell, formerly of the Earth Defense Force Special Operations Division. This is my crew. Lisa looked up from her console. Lieutenant Lisa Parker, formerly of the EDF Engineering Corps. I've spent the last 5 years turning this ship into a flying weapons platform. Sam turned from his station. Commander Sam Torres, formerly EDF Tactical Division. I've been tracking your fleet movements for the past hour. You're not as sneaky as you think. Amy stepped forward. Sergeant Amy Stone, formerly EDF Marine Corps. I've got targeting solutions on all 6 of your ships. His mouth opened, but no words came out. The Zephyrian commander was staring at a cargo ship that had just revealed itself to be a military vessel in disguise. "You see, Commander," Jake continued, "humans learned a long time ago that space is dangerous. We don't send our people out here defenseless. Every human ship that travels the outer rim is prepared for trouble." The Liberty's Edge was fully transformed now. Her true nature was revealed for all to see. She was still a cargo ship, but she was also a heavily armed warship. Her weapons were locked onto the 6 Zephyrian raiders. "This is impossible," Vextal said. "Cargo ships do not carry military weapons." "Human cargo ships do," Jake replied. "We've been fighting wars for thousands of years, Commander. We know how to prepare for battle." Lisa's console showed the power levels of their weapons. All missile tubes are loaded. Energy weapons are at full charge. Point defense systems are active. Sam's electronic warfare suite was working perfectly. Their communications are completely jammed. They can't coordinate with each other. Amy's targeting systems had locked onto each Zephyrian ship. "I have clean shots on all targets. Waiting for your orders, Captain." Jake looked at the alien commander on the screen. "Here's what's going to happen, Vextal. Going to power? Down your weapons and prepare to surrender. Or we're going to show you why humans are not good prey." The Zephyrian ships began to move. They were trying to get into better attack positions, but their coordination was gone. Sam's jamming had cut. Their communications, they were flying blind. "They're powering weapons," Amy reported. "The lead ship is targeting our bridge. Then we'll start with him," Jake said calmly. "Lisa, launch tube 1. A missile shot out from the Liberty's Edge. It was a small weapon, designed for precision rather than destruction. It struck the lead Zephyrian ship's weapon array and exploded in a shower of sparks. The alien vessel's guns went dark. "Warning shot," Jake announced. "The next one won't be so gentle." But the Zephyrians were not ready to give up. The remaining ships opened fire with their energy weapons. Bright beams of light struck the Liberty's Edge, but her shields held easily. "Their weapons are too weak," Lisa reported. "Shields are at 98%. Jake shook his head. "They still don't understand." "Amy, disable the ship on our port side." Amy's fingers moved across her targeting controls, firing point defense. The Liberty's Edge is smaller. Weapons opened up. Streams of energy struck the Zephyrian ship's engines. The alien vessels spun out of control, venting atmosphere and losing power. "2 down for to go," Sam announced. Wardash Commander Vextal's face was pale with shock. "This is not possible. Humans are weak." "You are new to space travel." "We're new to space," Jake agreed. "But we're not new to war. We've been fighting each other for thousands of years. We know how to build weapons. We know how to use them." Remaining Zephyrian ships were trying to retreat now. They had realized they were outgunned and outmatched. But it was too late. The Liberty's Edge was faster than they were. "Where do you think you're going?" Jake asked. "We're not done with our conversation yet." Hunt was about to begin. The 4 remaining Zephyrian ships tried to scatter in different directions. Their sleek hulls gleamed as they turned away from the Liberty's Edge, engines burning bright as they attempted to escape. "They're running," Sam Torres reported from his console, "but they're not very fast." Jake Mitchell watched the alien ships on the main display. "They came here thinking we were prey. Now they know better." The Liberty's Edge moved like a predator hunting wounded animals. Her engines, no longer disguised as civilian power plants, pushed the ship forward with military precision.
"Oh, the gap
between hunter and hunted closed rapidly. "Lisa, give me everything the engines have," Jake ordered. Already on it," Lisa Parker replied. Her hands worked across the engineering controls. "Military reactors are at full power. We're gaining on them fast." Amy Stone tracked the fleeing ships with her weapon systems. "The 2 ships on the left are trying to reach that asteroid field. The other 2 are heading for open space." "Split them up," Jake said. "Sam, which ones are the biggest threat?" Sam studied his tactical display. "The 2 heading for open space have heavier weapons. The ones going for the asteroids are faster, but lighter armed. Then we take the heavy hitters first." Jake pointed. At the screen, "Amy, target the lead ship. Full missile spread. Amy's targeting computer locked onto the fleeing Zephyrian vessel. Target acquired. Firing missiles. 6 missiles launched from the Liberty's edge. They streaked through space like angry hornets, their engines leaving bright trails behind them. The Zephyrian ship tried to dodge, but human missiles were too smart and too fast. The first missile struck the alien ship's rear section. The explosion tore through the hull, venting atmosphere and debris into space. The second missile hit the engine compartment. The ship's drive went dark, leaving it drifting helplessly. Direct hit, Amy announced. Target is disabled. The second, heavy Zephyrian ship saw what happened to its companion. It turned to face the Liberty's edge, all weapons firing. Energy beams and plasma bolts filled the space between the two ships. They're trying to fight, Lisa said as the alien weapons struck their shields holding at 85%. Jake smiled grimly. Their mistake. Return fire. The Liberty's edge's main guns opened up. These were not the small point defense weapons they had used before. These were ship killers, designed to punch through heavy armor and destroy enemy vessels. The energy beams struck the Zephyrian ship like hammers. The alien vessel's shields collapsed instantly. The beams tore into the hull, cutting through metal. Like it was paper, secondary explosions rippled along the ship's length as systems overloaded and ammunition stores detonated. Target destroyed, Amy reported calmly. That left 2 ships heading for the asteroid field. They were smaller and faster, hoping to use the rocks for cover. But they had not counted on human tactical thinking. Sam, can you predict where they're going? Jake asked. Sam's fingers moved across his console, running calculations. They'll try to hide behind the big asteroid at coordinates 479. Standard evasion pattern. It's not very creative, Jake observed. Lisa, how's our power? Still at full capacity. Those Zephyrian weapons barely scratched us. Jake nodded. Amy, prepare the electromagnetic pulse generator. Amy's eyebrows went up. The EMP. That's not standard equipment on a cargo ship. Nothing about this ship is standard, Jake replied. Oh wait. Amy activated systems that were definitely not found on civilian vessels. The Liberty's Edge had been modified with experimental weapons over the years. The electromagnetic pulse generator was one of Lisa's favorite additions. EMP ready, Amy announced. But I'll need to get close to make it work. We're going into the asteroid field, Jake decided. Sam, plot us a course. Stay clear of the big rocks. The Liberty's Edge entered the asteroid field like a shark swimming into a school of fish. The ship moved between the floating rocks with surprising grace for such a large vessel. Sam's navigation skills kept them clear of collisions while closing. The distance to their targets. The 2 Zephyrian ships had taken cover behind a massive asteroid. They thought they were safe, hidden from the human ship's weapons. They were wrong. There they are, Sam said. Behind that rock, just like I predicted. Amy, fire the EMP, Jake ordered. The electromagnetic pulse generator charged up with a high-pitched whine. Energy built up in the weapon's capacitors until it reached critical levels. Then Amy fired. The pulse was invisible, but its effects were immediate. The electromagnetic wave spread out from the Liberty's Edge like a bubble of destruction. It passed through the asteroid as if it was not there and struck the 2 hidden Zephyrian ships. Every electronic system on both alien vessels died instantly. Their engines went dark. Their weapons powered down. Their life support systems failed. The ships drifted helplessly in space, completely disabled. Both targets are dead in space, Amy reported. No power, no weapons, no engines. Jake looked at the disabled ships on his screen. That's what happens when you bring outdated technology to fight humans. Lisa checked her readings. The EMP didn't damage the ship's hulls. The crews are probably still alive in there? Good, Jake said. We'll need witnesses. Sam was monitoring the space around them. That's all 6 ships, Captain. The raiding fleet is finished. Jake walked to the main viewport and looked out at the aftermath of the battle. 2 Zephyrian ships were destroyed. 2 more were disabled and drifting. The remaining 2 were hiding, behind rocks with no power. The entire fight had lasted less than 10 minutes. War Commander Vextel's raiding fleet, which had seemed so threatening just moments before, was now completely defeated. The aliens had learned a hard lesson about underestimating humans. "What now?" Lisa asked. Jake turned back to his crew. "Now, we collect our guests. I think it's time War Commander Vextel and I had a longer conversation." The Liberty's Edge moved toward the disabled ships. The hunt was over, but the real lesson was just beginning. War Commander Vextel sat in the dark ruins of his command ship. Emergency lights flickered weakly, casting red shadows across the bridge. Most of his crew was unconscious or injured. The electromagnetic pulse had fried every major system on his vessel. Through the cracked viewport, he could see the human ship approaching. The Liberty's Edge moved slowly through the asteroid field, her weapons still powered and ready. She looked like a metal predator stalking wounded prey. "Commander," his communications officer gasped from her damaged station. "I'm getting weak signals from the other ships. 3 vessels are completely destroyed. 2 others are disabled like us." Vextel's hands shook as he tried to understand what had happened. His raiding fleet had been the terror of this sector for months. They had destroyed dozens of human cargo ships and taken hundreds of prisoners. Now they were the ones floating helpless in space. The main screen flickered to life. Captain Jake Mitchell appeared, his face calm and serious. Behind him, Vextel could see the bridge of the Liberty's Edge running smoothly, all systems working perfectly. "Commander Vextel," Jake said, "I hope you're enjoying your current situation." "What do you want, human?" Vextel snarled, though his voice shook with fear. "I want to have a conversation," Jake replied, "about the mistakes you made today." Jake's image disappeared from the screen. A few minutes later, the Liberty's Edge extended a docking tube to Vextel's crippled ship. The Zephyrian commander heard the sound of cutting tools as the humans forced their way through his ship's airlock. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors. Vextel's remaining crew members pressed, think themselves against the walls as armed figures in combat suits moved through the ship. These were not the same humans who had appeared to be simple cargo haulers. These were soldiers. Jake Mitchell entered the bridge without his helmet. He carried a rifle but kept it lowered. His crew followed behind him, their movements smooth and professional. They secured the bridge in seconds, disarming the few Zephyrians who were still conscious. "Commander Vextel," Jake said politely, "would you care to join me on my ship? We have much to discuss." Vextel had no choice. His ship was dead, his crew was beaten, and his weapons were gone. He followed the human captain through the docking tube and onto the Liberty's Edge. The cargo bay had been transformed into a holding area. The surviving Zephyrians from the other disabled ships were already there, sitting under guard. They looked terrified and confused. Their powerful raiding fleet had been crushed by what they thought was a helpless cargo hauler. Jake led Vextel to a small conference room. The walls were lined with displays showing tactical information and star charts. Amy Stone stood guard by the door, while Lisa Parker and Sam Torres worked at computer terminals. "Sit down, Commander," Jake said, pointing to a chair. "Let me explain. What happened to you today?" Vextel sat, his black eyes fixed on the human captain. "You tricked us. You disguised a warship as a cargo vessel." "No," Jake said, shaking his head. "The Liberty's Edge is exactly what she appears to be. She's a cargo hauler. She carries supplies to the outer colonies and brings back raw materials. That's her job. But the weapons, the shields, the military equipment," Vextel protested. "Standard equipment for any human ship operating in dangerous space," Jake explained. "See, Commander, humans learned something a long time ago. Space is full of predators. Pirates, raiders, hostile aliens. We don't send our people out here defenseless." Sam Torres looked up from his computer. "Every human cargo ship carries military-grade defensive systems. Every human merchant crew has military training. It's not optional." Lisa Parker activated a wall display. It showed the technical specifications of the Liberty's Edge. "We've been upgrading this ship for 5 years. Better engines, stronger shields, more weapons. Every human ship does the same thing." Jake leaned forward. "You made a fundamental error, Commander. You assumed that humans are weak because we're new to space travel. You thought we would be easy targets because we haven't been exploring the galaxy as long as other species? You are new, Vextel said stubbornly. Humans have only been in space for a few hundred years. True, Jake agreed, but we've been fighting wars for thousands of years. We've been killing each other with increasingly sophisticated weapons. Since we first picked up rocks and sticks, space travel didn't make us peaceful, Commander. It just gave us a bigger battlefield. Amy Stone stepped forward. On Earth, humans developed something called total war. We learned to turn entire civilizations into military machines. Every factory, every resource, every citizen becomes part of the war effort. That's what you're seeing here, Jake continued. Human space expansion is essentially a military operation. Every colony ship is also a potential warship. Every cargo hauler is a gun platform. Every merchant is a soldier. Sam brought up historical records on the display. Humans have fought over 10,000 major wars in our recorded history. We've developed tactics and strategies that most alien species have never encountered. Extel stared at the information scrolling across the screen. Battles. Weapons. Military innovations stretching back thousands of years. The human species had spent their entire existence learning how to fight and kill more effectively. Your species evolved on peaceful worlds, Jake said. You developed space travel through cooperation and scientific advancement. You became raiders because it was easier than working. But you never learned real warfare. You're warriors, Vextel protested weakly. No, Jake said firmly. You are bullies. You attack ships you think are helpless. You prey on the weak and defenseless. But when you meet real warriors, you fold. Immediately, Lisa brought up sensor readings from the battle. Look at how your ships moved, Commander. Predictable formation flying. No tactical flexibility. Couldn't adapt when the situation changed. Your electronic warfare capabilities are 50 years behind human standards, Sam added. Your weapons are designed for intimidation, not destruction. Your ships are fast but fragile. Jake stood up and walked to the viewport. Outside, the disabled Zephyrian vessels drifted among the asteroids like broken toys. This is what happens when raiders meet soldiers, Commander. This is what happens when bullies pick on the wrong target. Vextel's gray skin had turned pale. What will you do with us? Jake turned back to face the alien commander. That depends on what you do next. War Commander Vextel sat in the chair across from Captain Jake Mitchell. The briefing room was quiet except for the steady hum of the Liberty's Edge engines. On the table between them lay the data tablets that showed months of Zephyrian attacks. On human ships? You want me to betray my own people? Vextel said quietly. Jake shook his head. I want you to save them. There's a difference. He activated the wall display again. This time, it showed Earth's solar system. Ships moved between the planets in steady streams. Space stations orbited every major world. The system looked busy and peaceful. This is where humanity comes from, Jake said. 9 billion people living on one world. We ran out of room a long time ago. We had to expand or die. The display changed to show human colonies spreading across nearby star systems. Each new world was connected to Earth by trade routes and communication networks. But space expansion is expensive and dangerous, Jake continued. We couldn't afford to send weak ships or untrained crews. Every vessel had to be able to defend itself. Vextel studied the images. Your government requires all ships to carry weapons. Our government doesn't require anything, Jake replied. Crews demand it. No human will fly in space without protection. We learned that lesson when we started exploring. Amy Stone stepped forward from her position by the door. Commander, may I show you something? She activated her personal tablet and placed it on the table. Medical records appeared on the screen, charts and graphs showing human physical capabilities. These are baseline human physical stats, Amy explained. Reaction time, muscle density, bone strength, cardiovascular efficiency. She swiped to another screen. These are the same stats for your species. Vextel looked at the numbers. His black eyes widened as he saw the comparison. This cannot be accurate, it is, Amy confirmed. Humans evolved on a world with higher gravity than yours. We developed stronger bones and muscles just to survive. Our reaction times are faster because we had to dodge predators and hunt for food. Jake leaned forward. Commander, your species evolved on peaceful worlds. You never had to fight for survival. You never developed the physical capabilities or mental attitudes needed for real warfare. The display changed again. This time it showed human military training. Soldiers running through obstacle courses, practicing with weapons, studying tactical manuals. The training looked brutal and demanding. Every human learns basic combat skills, Lisa Parker said from her engineering station. In school, in the military and civilian life. Fighting is part of our culture. Sam Torres looked up from his computer. Commander, can you fire a rifle? Vextel hesitated. I command warriors. I do not need to fight personally. Every human on this ship can fire any weapon we carry, Sam said. We can also repair engines, treat injuries, navigate through asteroid fields, and hack computer systems. We train for everything. Jake stood up and walked to a wall panel. He opened it to reveal emergency equipment, combat armor, medical supplies, repair tools, and weapons were stored in neat rows. This is standard equipment on every human ship, Jake said. We assume we might need to fight, so we prepare for it. We assume our ship might be damaged, so we carry repair supplies. We assume someone might be hurt, so we have medical equipment. Close the panel and turn back to Vextel. Your ships carry none of these things. Your crews have no backup plans. When something goes wrong, you panic. We are not cowards, Vextel protested. I didn't say you were, Jake replied. But you're not prepared. There's a difference between courage and competence. Amy activated another display. This one showed the recent battle from the Liberty's Edge perspective. The Zephyrian ships moved in predictable patterns, using standard tactics that any human military academy student would recognize. Your attack formation was textbook, Jake observed. 6 ships in a standard rating pattern, very professional looking. Then how did you defeat us so easily? 'Cause textbook tactics only work against people who haven't read the textbook, Jake explained. We studied your formation and knew exactly what you would do next. Sam pulled up tactical analysis on his station. Zephyrian rating tactics haven't changed in 50 years. Use the same formations, the same approach patterns, the same communication protocols. Why would we change, Vextel asked. Our tactics work. They work against defenseless targets, Lisa corrected. They don't work against prepared opponents. Jake sat back down across from the Zephyrian commander. This is the lesson you need to learn, Vextel. Humans are not defenseless. We're not weak. We're not easy targets. He picked up one of the data tablets from the table. Every ship on this list that you attacked was carrying enough firepower to destroy your entire fleet. The crews were trained soldiers who could have fought back. Then why didn't they? Because they chose not to, Jake said simply. Humans prefer to avoid violence when possible. We'd rather trade than fight. But when forced to defend ourselves, we're very good at it. Amy leaned against the table. The human ships you attacked probably tried to escape rather than fight. They hoped you would just take their cargo and leave. They were being merciful, Sam added. They could have destroyed you, but they chose not to kill unless they had to. Jake stood up again and activated a communication panel. Let me show you something that might change your perspective. The main screen displayed a star chart showing human space. Hundreds of systems were marked with blue dots. Trade routes connected them in a vast network. This is human territory, Jake said. Every blue dot is a human colony or station. Every line is a trade route. He touched a control, and red dots appeared on the map. There were far fewer of them, scattered around the edges of human space. The red dots are Zephyrian attacks in the past year, Jake continued. Notice anything? Vextel studied the map. The red dots were concentrated in remote areas, far from major human settlements. You kept us away from your important systems. We tracked every one of your attacks, Jake confirmed. We knew where you were operating, could have sent warships to hunt you down at any time. Why didn't you? Jake's expression was serious. Because we hoped you would learn to leave us alone? We hoped you would find other targets or other ways to make a living. It gave you chances to stop attacking our people. He touched another control. The display zoomed in on the current system, showing the disabled Zephyrian ships. But some lessons can only be learned the hard way, Jake concluded. This is your education, Commander. Consider it free of charge. War Commander Vextal stared at the star chart for a long time. The blue dots representing human space seemed to glow with quiet power. The red marks showing his fleet's attacks looked small and scattered by comparison. You could have stopped us months ago, he said finally. Captain Jake Mitchell nodded. We could have sent a battle fleet to hunt down every Zephyrian ship in this sector. It would have taken us maybe 2 weeks. Why didn't you? Because we hoped you were smart enough to figure it out on your own, Jake replied. We kept thinking that eventually you would realize that attacking humans was a bad idea. Vextal's gray skin had turned pale. How many of you are there? How many ships? Jake activated another display, showed production numbers from human shipyards. Thousands of vessels were built every year. Cargo ships, passenger liners, research vessels, and warships. We build about 50 ships for every one that your entire species constructs, Jake said. Remember, every one of our civilian ships can fight if it has to. Lisa Parker looked up from her engineering station. Commander, your biggest warship carries maybe 40 crew members. Some of our cargo haulers have crews of 200. Our mining ships are bigger than your battleships, Sam Torres added. They're all armed. Amy Stone stepped forward. We've been monitoring Zephyrian communications for months. Your entire military consists of maybe 300 ships. We have more vessels in this sector alone. Vextal's hands shook as he processed this information. We thought humans were weak because you are new to space. That was your second mistake, Jake said. Your first mistake was thinking that being new makes us inexperienced. Your third mistake was attacking us without learning anything about us first. Jake walked to the viewport and looked out at the disabled Zephyrian ships. Commander, I'm going to make you an offer. I'm going to let you live. I'm going to repair your ships just enough so you can get home. I'm going to give you a message. To deliver? What message? Jake turned back to face the alien commander. That the free ride is over. No more attacking human ships. No more taking human prisoners. No more stealing human cargo. And if my people refuse to listen? Jake's expression hardened. Then they'll learn the same lesson you just learned. But next time, we won't be so gentle. He activated the communication system. The screen showed the bridges of the disabled Zephyrian ships. Alien crew members looked up with fear in their black eyes. Attention all Zephyrian personnel, Jake announced. You are being released. Your ships will be repaired enough to get you home. You will carry a message to your leaders. He paused, letting his words sink in. Tell them that humans are not prey. Tell them that we are predators who have chosen to be peaceful. Tell them that attacking our ships is the same as declaring war on our entire species. One of the Zephyrian officers on the screen raised a trembling hand. What if we encounter human ships in the future? Run, Jake said simply. Run as fast as your ships can carry you, and pray that the humans you meet are as forgiving as we are. The repairs took 6 hours. Jake's crew worked efficiently to restore basic power and life support to the Zephyrian vessels. They left the weapon systems damaged and the engines running at half power. That should get them home, Lisa reported. But they won't be raiding anyone for a while. War Commander Vextal stood on the bridge of the Liberty's Edge, watching his crippled fleet prepare to depart. His surviving ships looked like wounded animals limping away from a predator. Captain Mitchell, he said quietly, may I ask you something? Go ahead. How many ships like yours are operating in this sector? Jake smiled. All of them, Commander. Every human vessel you see is capable of defending itself. Some are better at it than others, but they're all dangerous if you threaten them. And military vessels? We try not to advertise their locations, Jake replied. But if you're curious, there's a human battle fleet stationed about 4 hours from here. 12 heavy cruisers and a carrier? Vextal's eyes widened. That close? We've been watching this entire encounter, Sam confirmed. If things had gone badly, they would have been here in time to help. Amy checked her console.
Oh.
The Zephyrian ships are ready to depart. All crew members are aboard. Jake activated the communication system one last time. Commander Vextal, you have your orders. Deliver the message. Make sure your people understand. Then they'll meet other humans, who are less patient than we are, Jake said. We prefer to solve problems with words, but we're very good at solving them with weapons, too. The Zephyrian ships slowly departed the asteroid field. Their engines glowed weakly as they limped toward the edge of the system. Bextal's command ship was the last to leave. Safe travels, Commander, Jake called over the communication channel. Remember what you learned here? The alien ships disappeared into the darkness of space. Jake watched them go, then turned to his crew. Well, he said, that was educational. Think they'll actually deliver the message? Lisa asked. They'll deliver it, Jake confirmed. The question is whether anyone will listen. Sam pulled up the ship's logs. I'm filing this as a routine incident report. Piracy attempt unsuccessful. No human casualties. Mission continuing as planned. It's just another day in human space, Amy. Observed, Jake settled back into his captain's chair. Set course for the next waypoint. We still have cargo to deliver. The Liberty's Edge turned away from the asteroid field and resumed her journey. To anyone watching, she looked like exactly what she was. A simple cargo hauler going about her business. The fact that she had just defeated an entire raiding fleet was just another part of life in the galaxy. In the weeks that followed, something strange happened in the Outer Rim territories. Zephyrian ships began avoiding areas where humans operated. Pirate attacks on human vessels dropped to zero. Word spread among the criminal organizations that humans were no longer easy targets. War Commander. Bextel delivered his message to the Zephyrian High Command. Some believed him. Others thought he was making excuses for his failure. But none of them were willing to test his story by attacking another human ship. The galaxy was learning a new rule. Humans might look like easy prey, but they were actually apex predators wearing sheep's clothing. The smartest predators know when they've met something more dangerous than themselves.